What's up, guys? Vince right here, and yeah, it's not a One Piece review this time. It's just pretty much something else for a difference, and pretty much yeah, I just had to review at least several, talk, or somewhat of an attempt to talk about this anime because it's so good. Like, I couldn't recommend it enough knowing that I really enjoyed Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And I only watched 4 episodes of it. I feel like it's best to do that knowing that it could go into a whole another field when I watch the whole thing. And I do want to watch the whole thing as a whole to review it, but maybe that can come later. But man, for right now, this is a good settling, moment for just all the way up to 4 because I feel like there's certain things that's going to go down within this anime that I'm just not ready to actually see. I mean, I wasn't really expecting, of course, I was expecting the gore and everything, but I did not expect how good it would be. Of course, I'm very familiar with Trigger's work, especially when it comes down to Kill a Kill and them doing like I get what is it called, BAN or something, that one involving the animal. And if anything else, like those are just so good. I think I did talk about and also review some of those other movies as well. And when it comes to Trigger animations, they just always make some good stuff. So when they make Cyberpunk, especially how I'm very into the whole Cyberpunk universe, despite how the game and how like made backlash that it got for how bad it is. I really enjoy the world of Cyberpunk and how it really brings together, and especially the characters and everything else. Like knowing that this is like a whole story. Like I feel like I don't know if David is inspired by that other character that is sort of like in the actual Cyberpunk video game where he plays as like your friend that you team up with to actually get some certain amount of money. Man, Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a story that I feel like is very based to how I see in today's society in terms of in the ghetto or in the hood. And it is a really good hood story itself, surrounding those levels of just like what's it like to live in that universe and also in that environment and how it really puts that whole perspective. The dark side of the cyber world is basically cyberpunk, of course, but man, it goes into a whole other edge of just like the amount of gore, this the amount of heartbreaks and the the realness that it brings, like the sense of reality that D goes through. I understand, basically like just how that really affects him and how, certain moments that are not supposed to get to him. And he's a very tough character, but it still got to him, because he's still human, despite of the whole mechanics that's all brought together, and also meeting up all the characters that really also brings him that sense of like love that he deserves. And it really is a good a good watch as well. I mean, for many Netflix movies, the last one I reviewed was Heartstopper and pretty much I did not enjoy much of it. But man, this was a good pace of just like coming back and just really trying to actually somewhat really talk about. But I feel like it does more justice of actually watching it for yourselves. The last 4 episodes was deep and also very action, of course, inspired. Really does live up to the Cyberpunk name, especially the game itself, and actually way better than the game. I feel like Cyberpunk could have been an anime first, but man, I really enjoyed what they bring to the table. CD Projekt Red and Trigger all together. I can only imagine if Trigger made like a Witcher anime. Like that would be 10 times sick. Holy crap! But man, you just see, especially the characters that you see in this poster, you sort of see like the main ones that are involved with D, but you also see the ones back, especially the mother way back there, and especially the corporate guy all the way up there. There's just certain parts of this movie when it comes down to the characters. I will not spoil it, but I feel like it's definitely worth seeing this all the way through from 1 to 4. In my review of 1 to 4, I just as I'm reviewing this, when I think about it, I think it's best for you guys to see it because it's such a deep story itself and very unforgettable, and also showcases like Dee's reality of just how tough. I feel like the word tough is just how it is mostly, and most of the stories that is based in this cyberpunk world being an open world game, There's so much that possibilities that they could have told, but they stuck with the original and also the main story of what Cyberpunk Edgerunners is, and the development of like the gaining his name within the family, and also becoming bigger than and also like that whole story about dropping out of school and stuff like that. I thought we are gonna get some like story off the university characters, especially that guy he beat up, but man, and also the what is it? What's her name? Lucy or I believe the girl with the white hair. Like it just brought that like magic. Like it's been a while since I think it was the last one was Arcane, where I saw a female character and I was like, whoa, no way! Look how just like the amount of beauty that it brings, and me being a person that is into romance, this anime really does fulfill that sense of romance. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it really is sort of climbs up to that, and especially surrounding the reality of like what Edgerunners is. Yeah, again, it's there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of like a lot of material where you're not going to get comfortable with, especially knowing the reality of this world of of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. They did not shy away, especially when it comes to the very the nature of this anime. It's for adults, by the way. It's very adult rating, and I said that because of just like the stuff that they showed, the graphics, and not just the sexual stuff, but just the very dark stuff that is really about what goes around in Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It feels like every and my sense of worry is just like all over the place when I see the world of Cyberpunk. You just never know like what creep will come by, who's gonna kill you, or what who's gonna steal your wallet or something. Like it's such a corrupt world. It's a future where I just don't ever since I seen Cyberpunk the video game, it's a future where it's like just it could happen, even though it's like of course fiction itself, but man, it could be nonfiction if something was to go down to actually lead up to that, because we've seen ghettos and hoods out there that are still like still ghetto to this day. Oakland hasn't changed, parts of New York City hasn't changed, Chirac hasn't changed, and imagine those places being very technical, especially very developed in technology. You can only imagine, like that's definitely what it is when it comes down to Cyberpunk Edgerunners. The fact that this is basically Chicago, if it was very futuristic and all that, has the technology and also has the very sketchy parts of it, because all the parts of Cyberpunk, it's almost like GTA, that is just very, very dark. It's a world that is like and I never actually felt that, ever since like from what I remember, Warriors, or Tripline or something like that. Like certain shows where it's like you see the world building, and it's just terrifying just to live through it, and just you can never imagine raising your kids in that area. And man, just the deep of it just was real. But yeah, other than that, pretty much I might make a spoiler review of Cyberpunk Edgerunners where I will go all out, because I feel like this is definitely worth watching physically. Like it's not every day we get something from Trigger Animations, and for this opportunity to watch this, it's definitely worth it. I feel like for what they made, what Netflix did here, like it's definitely gonna bring in a lot of fans, especially the amount of subscriptions that they lost. But they still making good stuff for what this animation brings. The diversity of the characters, the length that it goes, the limits, the worry, and also the darkness surrounding it, but the fulfillment when you actually get those kick ass kind of like moments of just D winning, and also just the others as well. Despite the offensive sexualness that it brings, and also the nature of the gore of just like how it portrays, this animation is so good. It's definitely good. I mean anime. I'm sorry, I call it animations because I'm catered to mostly animations itself. But for anime, as I'm still an anime channel, I definitely was happy to review and also talk about this show, and can't wait to watch the rest of the episodes, because there could be another review really talking about the whole thing, spoiler free. But I just can't spoil episode 1 to episode 4. I feel like you definitely have to check it out. It's definitely a story about D that is so worth your time. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Hope you subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz for more views if I ever make some because I'm not that good of it, to be honest. But other than that, one love and a peace.